You're listening to Slutty Society, a podcast exploring sex, sexuality, and all things in between.
Hey, yo, man, you really don't have to be out here like this broadcasting all your fucking porno shit.
Hey loves, what's up? I'm your host, Sheila J, and I am here to explore sex, sexuality, and all things in between. I hope I sound much better on this episode. I moved equipment before recording the previous one and fucked something up, so my apologies. I know the sound quality wasn't the best. I realize it was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Shitty!
Yeah, that's it. But I think all is good now. So thank you for being here to listen. I hope your day is going well. You know, when I am done recording, I'm actually going to relax, get on my gaming laptop, and play The Sims 4. A new expansion pack came out earlier this month, and I haven't had a chance to play it since I bought it. It's funny because I've been playing The Sims since the original one came out in the year fucking 2000. I have every add-on, expansion pack, stuff pack for every version of The Sims. So from Sims 1 through the current version, Sims 4. I've invested so much money into The Sims, and I even have a separate gaming laptop that I only use to play The Sims. I also recently bought a new gaming laptop. It's pretty nice. I love it. And I realize all of that just makes me such a fucking nerd. But I love gaming. I love playing The Sims. In a way, it clears my mind when I need to sort out some shit in my head or if I have a crazy day at work. But anyways, there are a couple of things I want to touch on before I dive into the episode. So somehow I missed acknowledging 2 countries where I have new listeners at in the previous episode. I want to take a second to do that right now. So shout out to Finland and Norway. I don't know how the fuck you found me, but I appreciate you pressing play. You know, I was recently telling a friend how excited I get when a new country pops up on my data for the podcast. Just knowing that there are people in different parts of the world that are interested in what I have to say brings me so much joy because, as I've said before, I honestly didn't know what to expect from doing this podcast. And now with the new year coming soon, I want to share a few pieces of data from the podcast from the year. I have listeners in 26 countries, with the US being one of my top 5 countries, and the other ones where I have the most listeners are Australia, Canada, the United Kingdom, and New Zealand. When it comes to the US, I currently have listeners in 36 states. And the last interesting part of my data that I'll share is I currently have about 63.6 listeners who are male and 36.4 who are female. Definitely interesting and dope shit. I'm really looking forward to, what comes in the new year with the podcast. All right, per usual, I'll discuss some topics I picked out. This episode will be slightly different with my segments. So usually I try to make the segments related to the topic. However, I am going to switch it up today. For this episode, my segments will be all random sex-related topics. And I think as the podcast continues to evolve, I will continue to switch shit up from time to time. All right, loves. I recently met up with my friend Mike. I haven't seen him in a minute, so we went out to catch up. And somewhere in our conversation, my podcast comes up. He started talking about me having him on for an episode, which would be fine by me. But I asked Mike what would be a topic he would want to come on here and discuss. And he said, when you blow someone's back out. I definitely started laughing. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that to be the answer um, out of all things. And Mike's a pretty wild dude, but I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt with the response. And I started asking probing questions to get more information. Now, obviously, I've heard the term before. I'm not oblivious to the general meaning, but I wanted to know if he were to come on my podcast, how would he make blowing someone's back out a full conversation? Give me some context, bro. Also, what's your meaning of blowing someone's back out? I feel like it's a sex phrase that can be left up to interpretation. So I'm asking him all of these questions, and all he can continue to say is, when you have sex that blows someone's back out, just not giving me anything to work with. And it made me think about all of those terms created to describe sex that's allegedly amazing, most often to describe heterosexual intercourse. So, blow your back out, knock the pussy out, beat up the walls, fuck you so hard, etc. I know there's more, but I think it's interesting that there are all these painful phrases used to describe something that's supposed to feel good, right? Now, I went to the trusted Urban Dictionary to get the definition of blow your back out. All right, it says to have sex with someone so intensely that they experience physical or psychological effects afterwards, such as difficulty walking, altered mood, or altered perception of reality. Usually implies that the person who blows the other person's back out is very skilled or well endowed, often used in a flirtatious or humorous way. I don't know about you, but I've never been fucked to the point that my reality is altered. Where does that sex exist? And why do the after effects in the definition sound like a list of side effects on a pharmaceutical drug commercial? When the side effects are greater than the issue the medication is needed for. Now, just imagine a woman smiling, skipping through a field of flowers. Don't get your back blown out if you are breastfeeding, pregnant, or if you have an underlying heart condition. Studies have shown getting your back blown out may cause you to experience physical or psychological effects, such as difficulty walking, altered mood, altered perception of reality, migraines, trouble swallowing, loss of appetite, chest pains, difficulty breathing, problems with vision, anxiety, depression, hallucinations, suicidal thoughts, and in some cases, death. I seriously need help. Okay, so since Mike couldn't give me further details about blowing someone's back out, I thought it would be fun to ask my listeners, which leads me to the question for this episode. Can you use blowing someone's back out in a detailed sentence for me? I'm looking for examples. Get specific. You can reach out to me via my weak-ass Instagram at Slutty Society Podcast or email me at sluttysocietypodcast@gmail.com. This will also be on the episode Spotify page, thanks to Spotify for Podcasters. Additionally, if you want to be brave, leave me a voicemail. The voicemail link is in the episode description on whatever platform you are using to listen. Again, the question is, can you use blowing someone's back out in a detailed sentence for me? I'm kind of excited to see the responses to this. Okay, moving on. So let's think a little deeper about sex. I know I joke a lot in the podcast. I just naturally have a really dirty and dark sense of humor, but I think different factors in society have kind of distorted how we view sex and sometimes even how the act of sex is performed. I've talked about many of those factors in different episodes, so I won't run through them in this moment. Instead, I want to quickly talk about real sexual connection. Sex is meant to be pleasurable and pleasurable for everyone involved. When I think about great sex I've had, it wasn't great because someone was being intense physically. It was great because the energy between myself and that other person was intense. I believe that kind of intense energy comes from taking your time and really paying attention to the other person's body during sex, paying attention to how they move, the way they breathe, taking a moment to look them in the fucking eyes, being mindful, having awareness, simply being more mentally present during sex can make a difference. So, for me personally, I like when sex is passionate, but when there are moments, maybe when someone grabs my face and follows it up with a kiss, or maybe they push me up against a wall, then tell me how fucking sexy I am. I guess the kind of sex I like is a little bipolar, but I will say I think it's important to be open to experiencing sex in different types of ways. You know, when you experiment, when you try something new, especially if you are doing so with a partner that you consistently have sex with, it creates a stronger bond, which means being more comfortable with them and more confident when having sex with them. And if you look at it in individual terms, exploring and being open helps you learn more about your own body, your individual wants and needs. All right, so I am going to take a left with this conversation and share that I am very horny. Just being honest, I am on the struggle bus. As I said in the last episode, I'm not seeing Turkish bait anymore. I'm actually not seeing anyone in this moment. It has been a little bit since I've had sex with a human. It's just me, Pornhub, and a massive stash of sex toys. It makes me think about a stand up Nikki Glaser did a few years back. Let me play you the clip.
I have so many toys, too many. And every time I go to masturbate, I have to like look at all of them, and I always feel bad that I'm not using all of them. I have some sort of Toy Story guilt with it all. Just like, oh, Woody, you used to be my favorite. I'll sit on you, and I'll just sit on that, and I'll put Buzz up here.
Oh man, that shit cracks me up because it's so accurate for my life right now. I have a large collection of sex toys, but I probably only fuck with a couple of them. Wait, no, actually, I take that back because the Honey Playbox vibrator I got earlier this year stopped charging. I don't know what happened, but it's done for, it's fucking dead. So, my most reliable sex toy, and just so you know, I have some very pricey ones, but the one I can count on the most, where a solid 8 out of 10 settings gets me off, is my $29.99 plus one waterproof rechargeable dual rabbit vibrator that I bought from Target. I've named it Pinky, it's hot pink, but the rest of my sex toys don't have shit on Pinky. I don't know the last time I've taken another one of my sex toys out of hiding. Pinky and I get it in. All right, loves, before I start my segments, in the spirit of the upcoming holidays, I want to go over my short sex wish list for 2024. Also, some fun facts from Pornhub's 2023 year in review. I'll start with my 2024 sex wish list. Now, I'm not asking for a lot, and these aren't in any particular order. Number one, phone sex. Bring it back. I haven't had any phone sex in a long time, and I absolutely love it. Everyone just prefers sexting now, and I'm over seeing bubbles as you type. I want to hear you moan through my device. Number two, a role play where we pretend we don't know each other and that we just met. I've actually wanted to do this for a long time, but I want to pretend to meet someone out and about for the first time. Both of us just really committed to the characters we pick. We pretend it's our first encounter and then we end up fucking. Number three, vibrating panties. I want to wear these panties while someone remote controls them from afar, preferably from a different location where there is strong Wi-Fi. Number four, bondage. I want to experiment with entry-level bondage. Not anything too advanced at this time, just some subtle restraints. And number 5, last on my list, consistent sex, great sex with someone who not only appreciates my body, but my brain as well. And I'm not referring to the brain I give, but the one in my actual head. Nothing gets me wetter than someone valuing my intelligence. So, fingers crossed, I check off these items on my list in 2024. I will definitely keep you posted. All right, Pornhub has put out their 2023 year in review. There's a lot of data here. I'm not going to read the entire article, but I'll share a few things. Let's start with the list of the top 20 countries by traffic. So these are the places that have visited Pornhub the most this year. By a landslide, the United States is at the top of the list at number 1 for traffic on Pornhub. We are filthy over here. I knew the US was good at something. Who would have thought it would have been rubbing one out? Following the United States is the Philippines, France, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, Italy, Canada, Brazil, Spain, Poland, Australia, Ukraine, Netherlands, Argentina, Colombia, Egypt, Chile, and Sweden. Now, next, I have to share the list of the most searched terms in the world from 2023 on Pornhub. Hentai is number 1. The world loves to see Japanese animated sex. Number 2 is MILF, Mom I'd Like to Fuck. And number 3, lesbian. You know, I'd like to think I contributed with my own personal searches in this category. Then after that, we have Japanese, anal, Asian, Latina, big ass, stepmom, anime, threesome, ebony, massage, cream pie, big tits, gangbang, BBC, blowjob, public, femboy, point of view or POV, amateur, cosplay, trans, Indian, Korean, black, animation, and mature. I'll share the top 5 searches in the US. We have lesbian coming in at number 1, MILF at number 2, hentai at number 3, Latina at number 4, and ebony at number 5. You know, something I realized is porn is the only place where we use the word ebony. What is the origin of that? I don't go around and describe myself as an ebony woman. I don't know, I just find that so fucking weird. But anyways, the last thing I want to share are the terms from each state that were searched the most on Pornhub. I'll start over on the West Coast. So for Washington, we have sensual sex, Oregon, nudist, California, Asian stepmom, Alaska, sex doll, Idaho, dildo ride, Nevada, Vegas, doesn't seem very original. Arizona, car sex, Utah, Mormon, Montana, BDSM, Wyoming, goth, Colorado, femdom, New Mexico, Native American, Texas, creamy, Oklahoma, sextic, Kansas, close up, Nebraska, rub, South Dakota, shower sex, North Dakota, loud, wet sex, Minnesota, tickling, Iowa, cartoon porn, Missouri, transformation, Arkansas, ass to mouth, Louisiana, big black dick, Mississippi, furry, Illinois, ass eating, Wisconsin, swingers, Alabama, fingering myself, Tennessee, giant tease, Kentucky, bouncing boobs, Indiana, chubby, Michigan, bondage, Ohio, small dick, West Virginia, nip slip, Virginia, smoking, North Carolina, bubble butt, South Carolina, high heels, Georgia, ebony solo, Florida, fantasy, Pennsylvania, big boobs, New York, body swap, Rhode Island, doggy style, Massachusetts, orgasm, Vermont, point of view blowjob, New Hampshire, pierced, Connecticut, double vaginal, District of Columbia, big ass cop, New Jersey, Turkish, Delaware, college, and Maryland, glory hole. All right, loves, there is a ton of information on the Pornhub 2023 year in review, so check it out if you want to see more of their stats. But let's go ahead and move on. I'm ready to get into the segments. I'll start off with In the Media. In the media is where I find an article, news report, or story related to sex and or sexuality. And in this episode, all of the stories are coming out of Florida. My Floridians, I haven't forgotten about you. Let me pull up the special sound effect I made just for you.
Oh, man, that's Florida right there.
Yeah, dang right.
A Tinder date gone horribly wrong, leading to this arrest. 25-year-old Destiny Johnson is accused of setting her date on fire. It all began over 2 weeks ago when the two were chatting through the Tinder dating app. They agreed to meet up in person. The victim told police during their first interaction the two just smoked pot. The next day, Johnson reached out to the victim to meet again. The victim agreed, but when he arrived to their meetup spot, Johnson demanded he gave her money for her car. When the man gave her $60 in cash, the victim says her demeanor completely shifted, and that is when detectives say she lit the victim and his car on fire and now in jail.
So this is exactly why I don't fuck with dating apps. Johnson was arrested on November 25th after police alleged she became irate with her Tinder date, setting him and his car on fire outside of a Holiday Inn Express and Suites hotel in Kendall, Florida. Just when you think the only risk of getting burned by a Tinder date is through a sexually transmitted disease, someone comes up with a new element. Johnson and her alleged victim arranged to meet up at the hotel when she allegedly approached his car carrying what appeared to be a 1-gallon jug of liquid. She asked her date for money to fix her car and then allegedly began to yell, "You guys are out to get me," before pouring gasoline into the passenger side of his SUV, lighting the inside of the car on fire with a lighter. Both she and the alleged victim caught on fire. Johnson allegedly ran away. The man reportedly told the police before he ran to the hotel's front desk for help and was soon taken to the hospital where he was treated for burns. Okay, next. Bay Pines officer's body cam camera recorded him having sex while on duty. A federal officer with the Bay Pines Veterans Affairs Police Department in Pinellas County accidentally recorded himself having sex with a woman in his squad car during a shift in September. An investigation began September 5th by Barati's supervisor, and the Bay Pines administrative system determined on October 20th that the sexual interaction was consensual, but that Barati had failed to adhere to the organization's code of conduct by having sex while on duty. Sexual activity on federal property is considered a crime unless the people involved are residents. Barati lives outside of Bay Pines. I love how they pointed that fact out as if it's the most relevant part of the story. Like, that's where he fucked up. He wasn't a resident. All right, last one. Drunk Florida man sexually molests manatee statue, throws gator nuggets in restaurant. An intoxicated Florida man threw food and sexually molested a manatee statue in a drunken rage. Patrons and staff witnessed 23-year-old Anthony Michael Lessa of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, causing a disturbing scene at Rick's Reef, a local seafood restaurant in St. Petersburg, Florida. Lessa was allegedly throwing gator nuggets found in his right pocket upon arrest into the restaurant. When restaurant employees confronted Lessa about throwing the food, he became belligerent and began performing sexual acts on the life-size manatee statue. Why are you wasting food, sir? Also, who has a random stash of nuggets in their pocket? You know, he was probably looking at that manatee statue like, ooh, baby. Lessa tried to flee from the eatery after restaurant workers attempted to apprehend him. He reportedly ran to a hotel and caused a disturbance, yelling and cursing at the front desk worker and standing in the parking lot yelling obscenities. According to the police, when they arrived at the scene, Lessa appeared heavily intoxicated and kept pondering why he was being arrested. Okay, that's it for In the Media. Let's get into the next segment. It's time for me to provide you with some random sex-related facts because, well, I'm a fucking nerd. This is The More Shit You Know. In this episode, I have a few weird laws from around the world. Number 1. In London, it's illegal to have sex on a motorcycle while it's parked. If it's moving, fuck at your own risk. Number 2. In Krakow, Poland, if you are found to have sex with an animal 3 times, you can be shot in the head. A new meaning to third time's a charm. Number 3. In the town of Cowiar, Diallen, probably fucked that up, Idaho, if a police officer approaches a vehicle and believes the passengers are having sex, he must flash his lights and wait 3 minutes before approaching the car. Plenty of time to finish. Number 4. In Texas, it's illegal to own 6 or more sex toys. But if you want to carry a gun, no worries, no license required. Number 5. In Utah, first cousins can marry if they are both 65 and older or if both parties are 55 and older and unable to reproduce. Talk about keeping it in the family. Number 6. In Cornersville, Wisconsin, it's illegal for a man to shoot off a gun when his female partner is having an orgasm. Let her come, please. Alright, that's it for The More Shit You Know. I hope you learned a few things you didn't know before. We've almost reached the end of the episode, but before I go, I want to tell you a story. This episode's story is called Melting. So I was seeing this woman, and one evening we are at her house laying in bed. We're kissing, touching, all of the good shit. We both start taking off our clothes. I get down to just my panties. She tells me she will be right back. When she returns, she has a bowl of ice. Now, this wasn't my first rodeo with someone using ice on me. However, I never had it used on me to the extent she did. So she tells me to lay back, then she takes some ice and rubs it against my lips. Soon after, she kisses me. Next, she rubs ice against the side of my ear, following up with a kiss in that spot. Then she does the same thing to my neck. Ice, kiss. In each spot, she rubbed the ice just enough, then she would warm the spot with a kiss. It was the perfect combination. So after she is done with my neck, she goes down to my breast, takes her time with each nipple before putting her warm mouth on them. The next area she ventures to is the side of my hips, then my inner thighs. Ice kiss in both spots. At this point, she grabs more ice and proceeds to rub the ice over the outside of my panties. It starts to melt all over them. Once my panties are soaked, she removes them, then starts to gently rub ice on my clit. Kisses it, rubs ice on it again. More kisses. She then starts to eat me out. Little did I know she had ice in her mouth. 1 minute she's using her tongue to rub the ice against me. The next minute it's just her bare tongue. She eats my pussy, switching between ice and no ice until I come. It felt like I had melted. Okay, loves, that is all for today. If you enjoyed this episode, please be kind and leave me a 5-star review. If you have feedback, my contact info is in the episode details on whatever platform you are using. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Bye, loves.